Good morning, this is Dr. Rajesh Yadav from Department of Biochemistry. Today we will discuss about the digestion in the buccal cavity. So today we will discuss about definition of the digestive system, classification of the digestion, salivary glands, composition of the saliva, and active and passive transport in salivary gland. So first of all, we should know about the digestive system. So the system which involves the digestion and absorption of the food and the digestive material finally enter into the blood is called digestive system. So the main organs that make up the digestive system: mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and another helping organs like pancreas, gallbladder, and liver. So this is definition of the digestion. Digestion is the breakdown of the large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble food molecules so that they can absorb into plasma of the blood. In certain organisms, these smaller substances are absorbed through the small intestine into the bloodstream. Digestion is a form of catabolism that will involve and breakdown of the food. So there is two things, one mechanical and chemical digestion. So if we discuss about the mechanical digestion, in this type of digestion, the food will break down into the smaller part with the help of mastication, and the tooth will be involved in this process. And in the chemical digestion, the enzyme break down the food molecule into the small molecule so that they can absorb. So in the chemical digestion, basically enzyme involvement of the enzyme occurs. So in human digestive system, food enter into the mouth and mechanical digestion occurs, mastication process occurs. So the saliva will added into the food and the bolus structure will be formed. So salivary gland contains salivary amylase. This is an enzyme which causes the partial digestion of the carbohydrate in the mouth, and the salivary gland also secrete the mucus that will act as lubricant, and in the saliva potassium bicarbonate ion is present that will provide the basic medium, slightly basic medium to the food, and after undergoing mastication and starch digestion, the food will be entered as it will be entered in the mucus and the round structure is formed that is called bolus. So now come to the digestion in the buccal cavity. In the buccal cavity, the salivary glands are present. So 3 pair of the salivary glands are present in human, while 4 pair of salivary glands present in animals like rabbit. So if we talk about the human, the 3 pair of salivary glands that are parotid gland, submandibular or submaxillary gland, and sublingual gland, while in the rabbit infraorbital or zygomatic gland is present. So this is the location of the different type of the parotid gland in the figure. This is the parotid gland. It is in the upper jaw, just behind the ear, while you can see here submandibular gland toward the lower jaw, and a sublingual gland. It is also in the present lower gland. So the secretion of the saliva is controlled by the parasympathetic stimulation. So the neurotransmitter which is responsible for the parasympathetic stimulation is called acetylcholine. So acetylcholine is responsible for the enhancement of the saliva. So first I would like to discuss about the parotid glands. So it is one pair of the glands which open on the second molar. Its type is serous type because it secretes the ptyalin enzyme, which is responsible for the partial digestion of the carbohydrate. And another point is that it is the largest salivary glands, and its duct is called Stenson's duct. And in the snake, this parotid gland is modified into the poison glands. When the infection occurs in the parotid gland, it is called mumps, and it provides the 20% of the contribution in the saliva secretion. Second pair of salivary gland that is called submandibular or submaxillary gland. Its type is serous and mucus. That means it secretes saliva as well as ptyalin enzyme. So it contributes 60 to 75% of the saliva, and the duct of this submandibular or submaxillary gland is called Watson duct. The location is beneath the lower jaw, superior to the digastric muscles, and it is located about 2 finger-like structure above the apple. So it will open in the lower incisor. Third salivary gland is sublingual glands. So its type is mucus because it's only secrete the mucus. It will not secrete the ptyalin enzyme in the secretion. It contributes very minor content like 5% of the saliva, and the duct of this sublingual gland is called duct of Ravenous, and this gland is modified in the Holoderma gila monster. So we have discussed that parotid gland is modified in the snake poison gland, while in the gila monster sublingual gland is modified in the poison gland. It is located anterior to the submandibular gland and inferior to the tongue. Now we will discuss about the composition of the saliva. So the main component of the saliva, like ptyalin enzyme, it is called salivary amylase enzyme that is responsible for the partial digestion of the carbohydrate. And the second enzyme is the lysozyme enzyme. It will help to kill the bacteria. It will break down the peptidoglycan covering of the bacteria, and in this way it kills the bacteria. Third one is mucin. So mucin is a glycoprotein which is act as a lubricant. So we can discuss about the glycoproteins. That means the protein which is attached to the carbohydrate or oligosaccharide, that is called a glycoprotein. So apart from this ptyalin, lysozyme and mucin, some minerals and like sodium ion, chloride ion, potassium ion and bicarbonate ion is also present in the saliva. So how much content is present here? So you can see here sodium bicarbonate or potassium bicarbonate is 50 to 70 milliequivalent per liter, while sodium and chloride 15 milliequivalent per liter, while potassium ion 30 milliequivalent per liter is present in the saliva. So here we have discussed about the secretion of the ion in the saliva. So saliva contains especially large quantities of the potassium and bicarbonate ion. So the secretion by the submandibular gland, it is a typical compound gland that contains cells of acini and salivary duct. So we can understand basically the salivary gland mainly two components, one is the cells and second is duct. So cells which is present in the salivary gland is called cells of acini, and the duct is called salivary duct. So the acini secrete primary secretion that contain ptyalin or mucin in the solution, as primary secretion flow through the duct. So two major active transport process occurs. As a result, some minerals will absorb and some minerals will be added into the saliva. So this is the just composition of the saliva mucus. So mucus is a viscous colloidal containing inorganic salt, antimicrobial enzymes such as lysozyme, some immunoglobulin like antibodies are present in the saliva, and mucin, glycoprotein that such as lactoferrin and mucin. So these are the composition of the mucus which act as a lubricant in the gastrointestinal tract. So this is the transport mechanism which happen in the salivary gland duct. So in the primary secretion, the cells of acini will secrete ptyalin enzyme, mucus and extracellular fluid. So it will flow through the duct, and in the duct active transport process occur and passive transport process occur. So first of all sodium active absorption occur here, and then chloride passive absorption occur. As a result, the negative potential will be created, minus 70 millivolt potential is generated inside the duct of the salivary gland. Then potassium active secretion occur and bicarbonate secretion occur. So in this way we can see that sodium chloride is absorbed and potassium bicarbonate is secreted in the salivary gland. So in the salivary gland bicarbonate ion and potassium ion is maximum, while sodium ion and chloride ion is minimum. So this is the transport process. So next we will discuss about the papilla and taste bud. which is present on the tongue. So papilla, these are the three types of the lingual papilla that contain taste bud present in the human tongue. First one is a fusiform papilla. As the name suggests, its shape is slightly like the mushroom shape, and these are present mostly on the dorsal surface of the tongue as well as the sides. And it is innervated by the facial nerve. So facial nerve is the seventh cranial nerve, so which is innervated in this fusiform papilla. And you can see here the location of the fusiform papilla in the front portion. Second one is a foliate papilla. These are ridged and grooved toward the posterior part of the tongue found at the lateral border. So in this figure you can see here that is a foliate papilla. It is present in around the border and some backside. And the cranial nerve which supply this foliate papilla is a facial nerve, that is 7th cranial nerve, and also glossopharyngeal nerve, that is a 11th cranial nerve. Next one is a filiform papilla. Filiform papilla do not contain any taste buds, so they are characterized by the increased keratinization, and they are involved in the mechanical aspect of the providing abrasion. So the important point of these papilla about like a filiform papilla, it do not contain any taste buds, so they are not responsible for the taste. It just provides the mechanical support, or it provides the thickness. Last one is the circumvallate papilla. So these are only 10 to 14 of these papilla. On most people, they are present at the back and oral part of the tongue, and they are arranged in the circular shaped row. They are associated with the duct of von Ebner's glands and are innervated by the glossopharyngeal nerve. So taste buds which are present on the papilla. So taste bud contain taste receptors which are also known as gustatory cells. The taste receptors are located around the small structure known as papilla found on the upper surface of the tongue. So you can see in the figure these taste papilla are shown on the tongue, and these taste papilla have bud. So another important point, can we see the taste bud on the tongue? So answer is no, because by the naked eye we can't see the taste bud, and taste bud is present on the papilla, so we can only see the papilla on the tongue. Also we can discuss the different part of the tongue which show the different type of the taste. Like the back portion, that is circumvallate papilla is here, it provides the bitter taste, while the front portion it is showing the sweet taste. Next one is a salty taste, and lateral side it is the sour taste. So these are different regions of the tongue which provide the different of the taste. And some latest taste that is called umami taste, so like glutamine or glutamate amino acid, it provides the specific taste that is called umami taste. So in the nutrient also glutamate is provided in, and it is present in the market. Thank you.